shocked, like, what the fuck?
He wanted a little community of slow killers. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy that he's being accused of.
Rate it. Rate my intro. Rate my intro. 10 out of 10.
This.
A young man takes off on a cross-country journey in hopes of achieving a fresh start. He's optimistic that this is his chance to make things right for his family, and he can feel it. Everything is about to change. Unbeknownst to him, however, his path will soon take an unfortunate detour. It will intersect with an individual so incredibly evil, they would later be described as a serial killer in the making. It was June 17th, 2017, when 18-year-old Hunter Tash Smith left his home in Junction City, Oregon, bound for Nebraska. There, a steady job that could help him to provide for his infant daughter was awaiting him. He'd led his family to believe he'd be traveling by Greyhound bus. It could be that he didn't want them to worry. In actuality, he had elected to hitchhike. 3 days later, on June 20th, he updated his friend in Nebraska, whom he planned to stay with on arrival.
This isn't JCS, by the way. This is Escape. What is it? Explore with us. I don't know why I say Escape. Basically just another JCS kind of channel.
He was in Burns, Oregon, and was catching a bus to Idaho. Around this same time,
Idaho?
Hunter's aunt, Raquel Messer, received word that Hunter had been picked up by a nice couple. Apparently, they were so kind that they allowed him to stay the night in their home, giving him a chance to clean up and get a comfortable night's rest.
Huh?
The plan was to drop him off at an Ontario, Oregon bus station the following day. And then, all contact with Hunter came to a screeching halt. It was the next month in August when Hunter's friend in Nebraska contacted Hunter's mother, Heather Smith. The friend was worried. It had been weeks since she'd heard from Hunter. Immediately, Hunter's family
a bit lower.
filed a
All right. Okay. All right. Here, let's figure this. Let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. Okay.
missing persons report.
Is that good? That good? Too low? Okay. Yeah. Let's.
It was August 4th.
Not too loud. Too loud. Not comfortable. Not comfortable for me. Let's a little bit lower here. A little bit. Let's see if this is gonna.
And then.
No. No. That's too low. That's too low. We got. Let me just.
Nothing.
God, dude, now it's too loud. Fuck! It's too loud. What am I supposed to do? What do I... Okay, a little bit lower, a little bit lower.
4 agonizing months passed since his family had last seen him, and still no word from Hunter. On October 21st, a development came.
What?
But it was the worst kind of news.
I can't hear it. I can't hear it anymore. Fuck. All right. Okay. All right.
Human remains were found by hunters in an area of the Bruno Desert in Idaho, Oregon's neighboring state to the east. The cause of death appeared to have been anything but natural, and based on the estimate...
Wait, you guys can't hear it? Way too loud? You can't hear it? Thank you, Fear the Milkman.
Age of the deceased, Idaho State Police believed that the remains could potentially be those of the missing young man. DNA from Hunter's mother was compared against that of the unidentified body, and the confirmation soon came. Sadly, the remains were those of Hunter. With the terrible news, the family's worst nightmare became reality, and all hope that he'd someday return was lost. The situation was beyond comprehension. What could have happened to the young father who was eager to start his new life?
I can't hear it.
The story behind Hunter's horrendous demise would soon unravel, along with unbelievably shocking revelations about the monster whose path he tragically crossed. The question why any of this happened in the first place will be answered, but understanding the bizarre motive is another thing entirely. In the county of Owyhee, rumors began circulating about the disturbing find. One particular lead, out of the many received shortly after news of the somber discovery was made public, captured the full attention of law enforcement.
Yeah, guys, just tell me which one of you are too quiet, and I'll personally turn up your volume on your computer. And those who say it's too loud, I will personally turn down your volume. So just let me know, and I'll individually go to each one of you. I'll dox you. I'll hack into your computer, turn it down and up, depending on which person needs it. Right? Sounds good.
A man by the name of Nick Vandenberg had shared a local news story on Facebook. "This is close to where I live," Nick commented. But it was his next comment that really raised eyebrows. "If it was me, I wouldn't have left him in the desert, LOL. Too much risk of hunters stumbling on a dead body, LOL.
Self-report!
Not exactly the kind of thing someone expected to read about such a tragedy, especially posted publicly. As law enforcement followed up on the leads that had rapidly filtered in, they were soon led to a young woman by the name of Montana Reed. She'd been living with Nick.
Like, if I did something like that, I would never post it on social media. That just seems kind of stupid, right? If it was me, I would never.
In his home until recently, and was his ex-girlfriend. Montana agreed to speak with detectives on October 24th of 2017, 3 days after the remains were located. First, they addressed how it was that she came to live with Nick in his home.
Halloween night of last year, I moved in, and I was getting a divorce, and so I just, you know, me and my husband were leaving my mom's house. I couldn't live there anymore, so he offered me a place to stay, and so I was meeting his friends and everybody.
It seems it wasn't long before the detective got down to the heart of the matter.
I couldn't think of him hurting somebody like that.
Why do people say that he's violent and is capable of doing that?
Because he went to military. I mean, he talks about little stuff from the military, and I mean, he's been in a few bar fights.
Nick has claimed that during the course of his service in the Marine Corps, while stationed overseas, he'd engaged in combat. As a result, he'd had to resort to taking lives. Montana gave some additional background on Nick and explained that his upbringing had left a lot to be desired.
His growing up, I don't know if you know, but like he was in and out of foster care and all this other stuff, and so.
As it turns out, Montana...
Not blaming it on the PTSD. Dude, isn't it like, do they even give therapy to people who come back from the army with PTSD? Isn't it like they don't provide that? Am I wrong? I thought they don't provide that. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't think they do. No, they don't care. Okay, that's what I thought. That sounds like America. That sounds like America right there.
Wasn't the only individual Nick welcomed into his home.
What about his roommate?
I couldn't see Keith hurting anybody either. Keith just had a baby, and he's, you know, he's been in jail. He doesn't want to go back at all.
33-year-old Willie Keith Raby is a man who we'll hear from shortly. As it turns out, he's also on law enforcement's radar for multiple reasons.
They don't even
Montana continues to describe her dealings with
I mean, that kind of makes sense because, you know, like, you need to be on, you know, your reflexes need to be up to par, I guess. I don't know. Something like that.
After living with them for an extended period of time.
Neither of them ever showed a violent side to me.
So far, Montana can only speak highly of the two men. Of course, as you'll see, this won't always remain the case.
She's lying.
The detective then poses an interesting question to Montana.
Have you seen the news article that came out about the body that was located?
Yeah, I've seen lots of people post on Facebook from around that area, and that it was right out there where we lived, kind of.
He's trying to get a sense of how much Montana knows.
And where were they saying the body was located? I'm not.
I didn't look exactly where, but everybody, like, I know Nick posted on there. He was like, that's pretty much in my backyard. I mean, you know, and Nick just said that the Bruno Desert is where it was found.
Why would Nick talk about this, that he did this to this person?
I don't know. He's not necessarily a show-off, I guess. I don't know why he would be talking about something like that if he didn't do it. And if he did, he's not. I don't.
That's a classic. That's a classic guilt self-report. I wouldn't say guilt or brag self-report, because every time you see someone, well, you know, like there's like someone who murders someone, they always end up doing something to be like, yeah, it was me. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, it was me. Yeah, he wants the attention. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh my gosh, this is so crazy that he's being accused of this.
No one's accusing him yet.
You just suspect that he did it because people are talking about it.
Did he ever talk to you about the term bunny bumping?
Bunny bumping?
Going out and shooting rabbits in the desert.
Yeah, we did that.
Did he ever?
Why? Dude. That's fucked up. Bunny bumping? They have a slang term for fucking killing rabbits?
You ever talk about going out with Keith?
They went out lots. I mean, not lots, but...
The detective asks where they enjoyed going
What does that mean? You sure it's not bro bumping? Maybe it's not bunny bumping, chat. Maybe it's some bro bumping.
out to shoot, and coincidentally, it seems they frequented a spot near the Bruno Desert, according to Montana, near where Hunter's body was found. At this point, it seems the detective is narrowing in on the suspect.
Point blank, if you knew that he did this, would you tell me?
Of course I would. I don't want to get in trouble for that. For keeping that.
Liar!
Know if Nick did this or not. There are things that point that possibly he did, which means he's a bad person. Or he could not be. So again, I'm trying to reiterate, stay away from the guy, okay?
Okay.
Don't talk to him about this. Don't talk to anybody about this. Something happened, whether he had something to do with it or not, I don't know, but he has told people that he has.
Buddy
It's
pumping.
that's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Montana continues to express her shock that
Thank
Nick's
you,
name has
Maybell.
come up in relation to Hunter's death. The detective concludes the conversation, and Montana may think this marks the end of her involvement in the matter. However, the following day, the detective and Montana meet again, and as you'll see, she didn't heed his advice.
I talked to him talking about this stuff, and then that's why I called you.
So you talked to
course.
Nick after you talked to me?
Yeah, I told him because he messaged me, so I tried to like keep it
Hey,
short.
whatever you do not talk to him. Okay, I promise. Walks outside, instantly talks to him.
While it is possible that Montana is innocent and is simply trying to look out for her friend,
Nope.
going straight to Nick could also suggest that she's involved and wants to ensure their stories line up.
Yep.
If the detective wasn't suspicious of Montana before, he likely is now.
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, but I'm guessing since you're talking about the guns, the person that was found was shot. Am I allowed to ask that?
We can't comment on
Yeah.
what we have,
But that's a possibility.
let's focus in on what you do know.
Okay.
Interestingly, stating that they can't comment isn't actually true. There's usually no
Yeah. Why did she ask that? That's kind of weird.
rule that would prevent the police from providing details to a potential witness. However, officers will often be strategic about the details they do divulge. Many times, police will want to wait to hear a witness's version of
Yeah,
events.
the way she said
This
okay.
serves two
it's like,
purposes.
Okay.
First, it ensures that the witness's statements aren't influenced by the detectives. Second, if the witness provides statements that the officers already know to be false, then they can use these contradictions in the interrogations. As it seems they aren't making much progress, the detective begins to lay it on thicker.
I'm
Oh,
glad you called
yeah.
me last night, but I still find
Thicker.
it strange that you would even care to even stop and talk to Nick after I've disclosed to you that he is suspected
What time do I
in
stream on
killing
YouTube?
somebody. I can't tell you what we know, but I know
Kinda
you would have
varies.
been living at a house when this happened. And I don't know how you wouldn't know at least something. Something happened in that time frame between, say, around the 4th of July and the month leading up to everybody moving out of that house.
Of course, Montana can explain it all away, as she's been doing so far.
Keith was on the run. We told him that he needed to go serve his time. Everybody did. But he didn't want to. So I know that Nick pretty much, I don't know if he told him, but I know that Nick didn't want him at the house if he was going to be on the run. I moved out because we were having some issues and with our relationship. One night we got in an argument and I just had it, so I moved out the very next day.
As of now, the detective is curious how Montana and Nick's conversation began the previous day. Apparently, they've been texting each other frequently. Unfortunately, Montana is unable to show the messages to the detective. Apparently, she routinely deletes all of her messages. These having been erased alone wouldn't...
Who the hell routinely deletes messages? No one does that. No one does that. Sus? Sus?
make Montana guilty of anything. However, if combined with other evidence, the
I do sometimes. Yeah, maybe like once a fucking year.
prosecution could use this to show something called consciousness of guilt. This is evidence that shows that a particular criminal defendant knew that they had done something wrong and were conscious of their own involvement. For example, destroying evidence of a crime. A common misconception is that once you delete something from a phone or computer, then that file or message is permanently deleted.
Shit.
However, this is not the case. Until the underlying data is actually written over, it can still be recovered. As Montana has continued to stick to her story, that she can't believe Nick could be involved in such a terrible crime and that she has no information to share, the detective kicks things up a notch. And as you'll see, Montana does have some details to share after all.
The truth's going to set everybody free, okay? I know you know something. I'm looking at you right now, and I know you do.
And with that, Montana makes a shocking statement.
This is...
was there.
With this revelation, there's no question about it. Montana has been lying.
I don't want him to be in trouble. I don't want him to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail.
Stinky.
This marks the point where everything changes course. Montana has a mountain of information to provide.
Yeah,
and
she
it
cracked.
definitely won't be...
Dude, she cracked real quick. Like, all he had to say is like, I know you know something. Okay, fine, you got me. Jeez, she gave up fast. Yo, thank you, Chu-Ha Cherry. I did not say that right. Happy New Year, Pig. Glad to be able to catch another stream. Welcome.
setting anyone free.
She got caught
one
venting.
day, Nick came home with this kid. I don't know his name. He said that he picked him up and he was a hitchhiker. And we were gonna feed him dinner and let him take a shower, and then Nick was gonna drop him off at another place.
If you recall,
really
the last
curious
word
as
from
to
Hunter
why.
was received around June 20th. The detective asks Montana when Nick picked the kid up.
Give me a time frame, summer. Was it about this party time that we're talking about?
A little bit before.
Okay.
The kid joined them for dinner. After that, they were going to show him a good time.
The kid had never went shooting rabbits. We talked about all of that sort of stuff. He had never went hunting, really, and he never went shooting rabbits. So the guys were going to take him out, Keith and Nick. So that was their plan, is they were going to take him out to go shooting and then go take him up to Mountain Home.
Does she have a six-pack? Chat, you know what? If all of them had a six-pack, none of this would have ever happened. That's all they had to do. That's it. Get a six-pack. None of this would have happened. Andrew Tate logic.
When they got back, he wasn't there anymore. And
You didn't.
Dude, imagine if that kid had a six-pack and was ripped. He would have just been able to beat him up and walk away. He would have been able to take a bullet because of six-pack.
Go with him to shoot rabbits.
Not that time.
What did Nick tell you about this?
All he said was that they took him out shooting and dropped him off the mountain home.
But you said you were there. You know this happened. You're in now. You're on the right path.
Dude,
The detective asks her if she would be willing to call Nick while he covertly listens in.
Yeah, I can do that.
It's worth a try. According to a statement the detective made earlier, Nick has been eager to talk to other people who have then shared information with police.
So the police left me a message asking about the body.
They wouldn't say that in a message.
Why would they be asking me?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Do you know anything?
No.
When someone's voice goes from
Autumn, thank you so much. Anything you're looking forward to this year? I'm gonna actually try to make an album this year, guys. I'm gonna do it. But no. I don't know anything about that. Body? What? No.
from a lower tone and ends on a higher tone. It often means the person is questioning something or lacks confidence in what they're saying. It could also mean they are being disingenuous or are simply caught off guard. His upward inflection here is a red flag because this should be something he's certain about, which would be demonstrated with a firm tone of voice rather than his less than confident no.
Does anybody that you know anything?
Not that I know of. Everybody I talk to doesn't have any idea what's going on. We're all trying to figure it out too. Because that seems really suspicious to me that they would call you and talk about a body in a message. They would just ask you to return the call.
If anything, it seems the call is making Nick suspicious of the whole situation.
They wanted to know about the body, and they said that it involved possibly that hitchhiker that you brought home, and you, and I told him that I'd have to call him back later. What's going on?
I don't know, Montana.
Okay.
I don't have any idea.
What happened to the hitchhiker?
I don't know. What's going on?
Because I just want to know. I want to know why they're calling me.
You already know. You know everything I know. So why are you asking me?
Because I just want to ask you because I don't know what to do. And I'm nervous and...
You have nothing to be nervous about.
Okay.
I picked up 100 hitchhikers over the last 3 years. So, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Wait, did he just... Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
I gotta go.
Sorry, I keep hitting the mic. Sorry.
Bye.
Unfortunately, the call didn't include the admission the detectives had hoped for. The following day, interview number 3 with Montana kicks off.
You recognize that gentleman?
That's the kid. Mm-hmm.
How certain are you?
Pretty certain.
You're sure that that's our missing hitchhiker?
Looks exactly like him.
Okay. Well, I can also say that I'm 100% sure that that's the body we found in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
It's all starting to crash down on Montana, and she has to know it. Also on this day, detectives also finally catch up with Keith. As you'll see, he's definitely not eager to talk. As Keith has had 3 unrelated warrants out for his arrest, he's been made aware that he will not be heading home after this interview. These warrants are not of interest to the detective. He has more pressing things on his mind.
We have been looking for you because you are not a suspect. You are.
There's so many parents that do fucking terrible shit. I just want to know why. Like, that's the thing that's really throwing me off here. It's like, what was the point?
Witness to what happened that day.
The detective starts the interrogation with some simple questions.
How long have you known Nick?
So, like I said, I've only known him maybe 5 or 6 years.
But you grew up in that area out there in
Grandview, but I don't think Nick really went to school, and he's quite a few years younger than me, so I didn't really hang out with
kids that were super young. You know what I mean?
Already, Keith is
Boredom?
attempting to distance himself from Nick.
Well, he said
The
at the
question
beginning that it
is,
was a
why
weird
would he
reason.
find it necessary to do so?
He didn't have a
It's
six-pack,
going to be a
that's
good
why?
relief for you, I think. It's just tell us what happened from the beginning.
As Keith is about to start telling the story, he rubs his face and eyes, which is considered eye-blocking behavior. Not only is this a sign that he's uncomfortable, but it also acts as a barrier between him and the detective. As well, it can be an attempt to avoid having to look into the face of the person who he may begin lying to.
So Nick had called, I think I was at work or something, and I was going to get home. I was going to get
Seems
home late.
confident about
Nick
being at
had
work.
messaged me and said that he picked up a hitchhiker, and he brought him back to the house. But I knew it was going to be a while before I got there.
That's not how Montana recalled the evening.
Keith wasn't with Nick when Nick picked him up. I think Keith was already at the house.
Started messaging something like,
Uh-oh.
he needed to, and don't quote me on that. These aren't his exact words.
Okay.
It was just in reference to. It was something like he was.
Montana's
he
snitching
had
on everyone.
Like a
Fucking
like a
Hannah Montana
thirst
over
for-
here.
To kill or something like that.
Just every transition in this video should just be Hannah Montana doing her, oh, whoa, whoa, yeah. Just the fucking Hannah Montana vocal runs every time. Ooh, yeah.
Things are looking worse for everyone at this point. Montana and Keith's stories aren't lining up, and Nick allegedly has some very alarming urges.
And at first, well, throughout the whole fucking night, I thought he was just fucking joking. But then when I showed up at the house, his persona was different.
His
It wasn't the same
persona?
Nick that
His persona's different?
you normally
No, it wasn't the same then.
And there was a hitchhiker there?
Yeah, there was. We started driving and we started shooting rabbits. And then I remember we go up towards
Oh,
like the
whoa.
Bruno
The body
Canyon,
was
maybe?
found 20
And in the midst of this story, Keith reveals something that perhaps he wasn't supposed to reveal.
And like Montana, she was sitting in front of me.
This admission from Keith is definitely not consistent with her story.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Chat, this is what happens when you don't have a six-pack. Like, holy shit. They should have all just had six-packs. This is so
At least
crazy.
with one of her earlier versions that she told the previous day.
You didn't go with him to shoot rabbits.
Not that time.
In this third interview, she must realize that the walls are beginning to close in.
Yeah.
I know you haven't. I went back, I listened to the calls, and I listened to their interview yesterday. You were there when this happened. I have to put Nick in prison, whether you like it or not. And you're going to have to help me do that. Will you do that and tell me exactly what happened?
Yeah.
As her self-preservation instincts kick in, Montana's account changes yet again. And as you'll see, she knows much more than she originally let on.
I had a
So
feeling.
I didn't watch it happen. I looked away because I didn't want to watch it. Keith was in the car with me. He was in the back seat.
There's now a consensus between the two. Keith and Montana were both present at the time of the murder.
Nick let the kid get out and go shoot at a rock.
That kid wanted to shoot one of Nick's bigger guns, rifles. So he's firing it, and
What's he shooting at?
just rock and nothing. There was no rounds there. He was just firing it just so he could fire it, I guess.
What happened next was absolutely chilling.
I don't know, I just happened to be watching them, and I seen the kid empty out that gun, and he spun around, and I looked over at Nick, and I seen him with his pistol, and it was down at his hip, and it was pointing right towards him, because the kid was maybe a little bit farther than that door.
From the wall?
But why?
Yeah, a little bit farther from Nick.
Okay.
And then Nick pulled the trigger and shot him right in the stomach.
And Nick got up out of the car and he shot him.
the kid like threw Nick's rifle down, and Nick waited till his gun was empty.
That rifle was empty?
Yeah. And the kid couldn't fire back.
And I know that the kid said something.
The kid was like screaming,
wow.
"Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Don't fucking kill me. I have a kid. Don't fucking kill me." And he like fell onto his back, and he was like trying to kick at Nick, because Nick walked up to him.
And then he fired off 2 more shots.
And then Nick put 2 rounds in his head. I'm standing there in like shock, like, what the fuck?
The accounts match up as far as Nick shooting Hunter.
Thank you,
but then
Jordan.
the versions veer off in different directions. According to Montana, Keith was in the car with her at this time. Keith continues with more heart-wrenching details of the savage ambush on the unarmed young man.
And he turns towards Nick?
Turns towards Nick and is walking back.
Towards Nick?
Towards Nick, and he gets shot right here.
Okay. In the side of the stomach?
No, it was like right, maybe below the rib.
Okay.
And he drops the gun and he's holding himself.
And he's standing up?
He was standing up, yeah. And then he had like tripped and fell on his back.
Okay. And Nick walked up to him?
And Nick walked up to him.
And this kid's saying, "Don't shoot me, don't shoot me," whatever he's saying?
Yep. And Nick puts 2 rounds in his head.
What happened, what did Nick do after he shot him in the head?
Looking for casings. He's looking for his shells.
For the pistol?
For the pistol.
What kind of pistol was it?
1911.
What caliber?
45. The Lord's caliber.
When it seems Nick's
All right, why did you need to add that in there? The Lord's caliber? Is that like the nickname of the gun, or is that actually like him being like, yeah, it's the best gun around? Yeah, he literally executed him. Isn't that the strongest pistol? Oh, is that why? Is that why he's calling that? Right, the 45 is the gun Jesus used to kill Cthulhu. Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
Acts have reached peak malice. He takes things to another level, which can only be described as horrific.
The kid was still breathing.
Even though he'd been shot in the head?
Yeah, twice. He was still breathing. So Nick point blank shot him again in the face. And he stopped.
And with that, Hunter, referred to by Montana and Keith only as the Kid, was dead. You've probably noticed that Montana and Keith continually refer to Hunter as the Kid or the...
Yeah, they never refer to him as his name.
Body. These are their attempts to emotionally distance themselves from Hunter and his murder.
This is what I don't understand. Why would you put someone, me and Montana, in a situation that I sure don't want to be in? I don't know about Montana, but I don't want to be in that.
What did you guys do? I'm saying that as a collective, maybe it was all him.
Conveniently, that's where the story's headed, for now.
I'm so fucking, like, what the fuck? I don't have a gun, and I can't just pull the trigger on somebody, you know what I mean? I know it wasn't directed towards me. I know I probably should have done
They're
something.
monsters indeed.
But I don't know what the fuck to do.
I don't know. I feel like they all three... It feels like they all three kind of were a part of it. And they're just throwing the blame on Nick. You know what I mean? I feel like they all three were a part of it. It feels like. And Nick is just taking all the blame.
Apparently, Nick knew exactly what to do next.
He's like tearing the fucking kid's clothes off because the kid was in our house. Nick's wanting to take all the clothes off except for his underwear because he sat in our house in the fibers. Nick's a smart fucking dude.
So he stripped him of his clothes?
Yeah.
Why would you praise him for that?
And burned him.
And then he asked Keith to get out and help him undress him, and they drug him off. I did not watch. I didn't want to watch. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't even know what was going on.
He says, "Help me drag this body over." It's like, fuck, dude, I don't want to do this. And I did.
Nick likely wanted him to help clean up because the more involved Keith was.
I don't want to do that. Okay, I'll help. What? What? Hey, bro, help me carry this body. Oh, really? All right, I'll help. The fuck?
The less likely he would be to report him. If he tried to implicate Nick, then he would be implicating himself as well. Despite their efforts, both Keith and Montana are more involved than they claim to be.
Yep.
And the truth will soon start to show itself as more shocking revelations are made.
After it all went down, Nick went through his belongings and got his ID.
What happened to the ID?
I don't know. I have no idea.
He kept the license of the kid. I don't know where he put it. I don't know if he still has it, but I know that he kept it.
This behavior can be a warning sign of a potential serial killer and an indicator that if given a chance, he would kill again.
Yeah.
As the detective is starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together,
Collecting IDs like freaking Pokemon cards, dude.
he wants more information about the motive behind the brutal killing. Obviously, there's no real rationale. So what drove Nick to commit such an unconscionable act?
You told me that it's like he had a thirst for blood.
Yeah.
So what makes you tell me that? What was the basis of the context that would give?
I can't remember exactly what was said, but it was along the lines of, this kid's a liar, and I'm going to end it, or I'm going to end him, or something like that.
According to Keith, Nick's comments were in the form of text messages sent to Keith while Hunter was a guest in their home.
Did you have the idea that something bad was going to happen to that kid?
I don't know. It's kind of like mixed feelings. Like, just because Nick was saying that, I didn't really expect that shit to be fucking going to happen that way.
However, that's not what Montana says.
But what happened? What transpired with Nick? Because what I'm being told is Nick was going to kill this guy, and he had planned on doing it. Hey, did you have any idea that this was going to happen?
I know that Keith and Nick talked about it, and they told me that something was going to happen, but I didn't know what.
Dude, it's so funny because everybody's throwing everybody underneath the bus. You know? Like, no, it's their fault. Nope, it's their fault. I was being the good guy. I didn't even know what was happening.
Once we got out there, I figured it out. I know that after the fact, he would talk about doing it again.
Yep.
That it was a stress relief. Or talk about finding a random person driving down the highway in the middle of Idaho, like on the highway from Idaho to Nevada, and just finding a random person and I feel like the car was broke down or something and killing them and driving their car off into the desert and burning it on fire.
The reality that Nick was
just a normal everyday stress reliever, you know. Yeah.
Aspiring serial killer is all too real. Keith's interview is concluded and he's taken into custody as a result of his unrelated warrants. However, when it comes to his involvement in the murder, the investigation has just begun. There's only one person left who can answer the detective's remaining question, Nick. Detectives then catch up with him that same afternoon on October 26th.
Hey, the reason we wanted to talk to you is because of a body that was found out in the desert.
I heard about that. I actually saw the notice on Facebook, the press release from
Okay, well, some hunters found this body that's out in the desert, right? And contacted the police. They asked us to assist with them. That's why we're here.
Yeah, he's smiling.
And we're trying to track down any and everything that we could find out about who this person may be. Okay, and what happened to this person.
Nick is holding his body very still, which may indicate that he is in fight or flight mode. When someone encounters a threat, they may freeze momentarily. This is an instinctual response in order to minimize attention, much like an animal may stop all movement when they realize a predator has spotted them.
Your name came
Okay, honestly, I feel like that's a reach. It literally just looks like he's just sitting down normally.
up. There's somebody that we might want to talk to that might know something about this.
Why is that?
Now, I got to tell you straight up, I can't tell you a lot of stuff. I'll tell you what I can. Would you happen to know anything about this body being
Nope.
out in the desert?
I don't know. No, I don't have any
I've
idea.
never heard of it.
I know some people a while back
I don't know.
thought I saw a notice saying that a hitchhiker that I had picked up had gone missing.
Nick has thoroughly prepared his story for this interview. So far, he seems confident that he's got this one in the bag.
Nick's a smart fucking dude.
As you'll see, though, the interview will begin to head in a different direction shortly, and not to Nick's advantage.
This is exactly how people who kill people and think they're going to get away with it, this is how they act. They think they're so fucking smart, and they're smug about it, too.
Nick readily relays his encounter with the hitchhiker to the detective.
I asked him where he wanted to go, because I mean, I'm obviously not going to drive him to Nebraska. And I said, well, if you haven't eaten, if you're hungry, whatever, I can take you home, make dinner. I got to make dinner anyway. And I can bring you back to town tonight or in the morning. Save you that much time. And he said, all right.
Nick explains that Hunter ate dinner with Nick, Keith, and Montana. Then they all went out to shoot rabbits. His account is consistent with the others so far, but then Nick throws in some new information.
Came back to the house. He had made a comment about Montana. I was not excited about his comment about Montana. Some sexual stuff about wondering if she would sleep with him and all this. And I said no, because at the time.
Yeah, just like all of them hanging out, having fun, you know, shooting some rabbits, come home. Hey, Montana, you want to have sex with me? This guy actually thinks he's smart, guys. Like think about that. He is sitting there in his stupid ass black long sleeve shirt thinking, damn, I'm smart. I fucking got this in the bag. Yes. The random kid just, hey, random girl I just met in someone else's house. Want to have sex? Want a pee-pee touch? You want me to touch your pee-pee? Or my pee-pee? Jordan, thank you so much for 2.
Montana and I were semi-seeing each other.
First kids on milk cartons were from my
Took him to
hometown.
the Chevron Mountain Home. It was after dark. I don't even know what time it was. Took him to Chevron Mountain Home. Gave him $20 cash. 2 $10 bills, I think it was. And that was the last time I saw or heard from him until somebody said they seen a missing poster with his name on it.
This is the first we've heard in relation to inappropriate comments, so it's likely that Nick may have added this in to paint an entirely different narrative. He wants police to believe that he's a kind stranger that took in a hitchhiker and made him dinner, only dropping him off at a gas station in Mountain Home, Idaho, after he supposedly made Montana uncomfortable.
What would you think if I told you that I thought the guy that was out there in the desert is the same guy?
The same person.
That you described to me.
I think that's kind of crazy, to say the least. A little uncomfortable at the same time. Because that would instantly point a finger at me, being the last person that saw him.
And it's not me. Like it's not me. So, like, sorry.
Had a meal with him.
It's going to be difficult for Nick to explain away the next question posed by the detectives.
What would you say if I told you that he was out in that general area that you described to me as well?
Around Shoe Fly?
In the desert out there, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's... I don't know.
Is it well known out there for people to go out there?
Yeah, all kinds of people go through the desert out there shooting rabbits or...
Oh, yeah.
You know, we did talk to Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And she told us some of the same stuff that you've said, but some of it's a little different.
Okay.
Okay. We talked to Keith.
Okay.
And he told us some stuff too, but some of it's a little different.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why we wanted to talk to you.
I understand completely.
Okay. The story they told us
What a nice
has
guy.
a different kind of an ending.
Really?
Yeah. So we want to talk to you about that and see what the ending really is.
Okay.
Dude, he's in his head right now. He's like, I'm going to fucking kill them.
Nick is clearly feeling the pressure. He may be realizing that this version isn't quite cutting it.
You know, the story that we were hearing is that that Hunter never came back from that hunting trip.
Really?
Shooting rabbits.
Most likely a strategic move, the detective exits the room for a few minutes, then returns and directly confronts Nick.
I know you were involved in what happened with him. Now, hold on. Let me finish it. I'd like you to tell us the truth. I know that you guys were out shooting rabbits. Well, I know that. Okay? There's not a doubt. I know that you guys you had picked him up as he was hitchhiking. Okay? I know that you had some drinks, smoked some weed with him, took him out for a drive, right? But I also know that at the end of the drive, he stayed there. And he stayed there because he was shot. I know that.
What are you going to say now? What's he going to say now, chat? Any takers? Any takers?
I also know that he was shot with a 1911 45. Okay, which you had.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I also know that you shot him.
Then the tables turn and Nick poses some questions of his
How
own.
the
And why would you say that?
turntables?
Because I know that.
How do you know that?
I have the proof. I have the 45 bullets. I also have witnesses that were out there that said that you did it.
Nick has dug himself quite a hole. Now that he sees he's not going to get out of this, he attempts to provide a new story to the detective.
Here we go.
One that will get him out of trouble.
Here
And
we
as you'll
go.
see, it's unbelievable.
Do you want to tell us about what?
Guys, he's going to blame the other two. It's just going to be the blame game, dude. Ready?
What happened out there?
Yeah. But we were out there shooting rabbits, drinking, and we got out. He had said he wanted to shoot. He shot at a rock. He just started shooting at it. And I was like, don't shoot at the rock, like ricochets happen. And he said, it'll be okay. And he turned around, and I was standing just outside the driver's door, and he turned around and I heard the gun click. And I reacted.
And what'd you do?
I shot him. I went back to the same.
What? Huh? What? Huh? So he heard his gun go off and reacted by shooting him 4 times? He spooked me. Oh! Oh, what was that? Just starts blasting. What was that? Oh, it was the gun that I gave to you for you to shoot. Oh, it scared me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, same thing I was trying to do.
In the military.
And even afterwards,
Oh, he's blamed. Oh, duh. I forgot. Dude, I actually forgot he went in the army and had quote unquote PTSD. I almost forgot, dude. Guys, that's where he found his stress relief, was killing people in the army, and now he brought it back to innocent people. Which, I mean, plenty of innocent people die in the... You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
he looked at me and he's like, that wasn't you. And I said, well,
Then,
I mean, in a way, that is me.
So Nick did shoot Hunter, but according to Nick, it was simply a reflex. After all, he'd been trained to react in the military. Nick makes a last-ditch effort to assassinate Hunter's character, having already confessed to actually assassinating him. While going through Hunter's belongings prior to burning some of the evidence, Nick claims to have made a shocking discovery.
Yeah, guys, in the army, whenever you hear a gun go off, even if it's your own squad, you just start going. You start shooting. Doesn't matter.
He had grabbed my stuff from the Marine Corps. I have a set of dog tags and a little crystal image of myself from boot camp. Mm-hmm. And then my ribbons.
he had that stuff in
and
his...
it was in his backpack, along with a set of my hunting knives.
Really? So he was in the process of stealing from you.
And that just pissed me off even more, I think.
Okay.
Quite obviously, the detective isn't buying any of it.
Yep.
As the interview is about to come to a close, Nick recounts the gunshots that ended Hunter's life.
You got the one in the stomach, and then the one in the face. And I've heard so many people struggling to breathe, and I couldn't listen to it. It's just one of those kind of triggered me.
God, just stop trying to breathe. Like, you're so fucking annoying. Oh, you got shot in the face. Shut up, all right? I don't want to hear your gasp for breath as you're dying, okay? Shut up. What? Thank you, Darcy. Like, what? Dude, yeah, he was, like, gasping for breath because he was dying. It was so fucking annoying, dude. It's triggering me, man. It's so annoying. Fuck.
So, just double tap real quick.
To his head?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was a mercy killing. You'll soon hear from Montana that this story has no merit whatsoever.
In the 1911?
The one I shot him with is buried in the desert.
Okay. Where in the desert?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Okay.
You'll never get that from me.
Okay.
Refusing to disclose the gun's location.
Well, why does that matter? You already confessed.
Could be a show of power. Nick already confessed to killing Hunter because of the evidence against him. However, the whereabouts of the gun is something he can control, especially if he's the only one who knows the location.
Feel better to get off your chest a little bit? The whole situation didn't even weigh on me. I don't know. The easiest way to explain it would be like putting a mask on.
It seems that in this moment, Nick is the...
Oh my God, he's Dream! We found out what the mask is. Oh, dude, after this. After all this time, we finally found what the mask is.
most honest he's been the entire time, openly telling the officers that the murder he committed hasn't bothered him in the least. When he says it's like putting on a mask, he's likely referring to the manipulation and deception that he uses in his everyday life to blend in with the average person.
Well, you know, you have to be arrested.
I completely understand. I'd prefer you read me my rights first, though. On the tape, with everything else.
I'm not going to read you your rights right now because I'm not going to ask you any more questions. Okay? But we are going to arrest you.
All right.
All right? So do me a favor. Turn around, put your hands up on the wall there.
Nick is taken into custody.
Dude, he's such a fucking pompous asshole, too. Thank you, Noodle. God. Oh.
And though his conversation with the detectives is concluded, he definitely isn't done talking.
That
He
hairline,
calls a
though?
woman believed to be his mother while in prison, and it seems he still believes he can beat the system.
Hello?
Hello?
What happened, Nick?
Well, for right now, it's murder one.
I know. Who was it?
It was that hitchhiker.
Why?
There's a lot that went into it, Ma.
That's why you were so infatuated with it. That's why you called me, isn't it?
With what?
As soon as you knew that that body had been found.
No. Anything I got from me yesterday isn't going to count for shit anymore.
Why is that?
Because I never read it right.
We get some interesting
Oh my God. He's gonna try to do the I'm smarter than you. I'm gonna get out on a technicality. I'm smarter than you.
insight as to how Nick thinks when he gloats that because he wasn't read his rights, he believes that nothing that he said the previous day can be held against him. He is sorely mistaken.
Yep.
We can assume Nick was not in custody when he came to speak with officers. If the police ask you to voluntarily come down to the police station and don't place you under arrest, you aren't in custody, so everything you say can be used in court. Unless you're in custody, there is no legal requirement that the police read you your Miranda rights.
Get
A
fucked.
few days later, ironically, Montana meets again with the detective for one last interview. And boy, does she have some interesting information to share.
And he talked about doing it more afterwards, like going and on Highway 51 out in the middle of nowhere and acting like his car was broke down and then end up killing whoever stopped and taking their car out into the desert and burning it on fire.
We've heard this story before. However, this time, Montana has some horrifying information to add.
He talked about doing that. He talked about paying up more hitchhikers. He told me and Keith that it was our turn next. He wanted a little community of little killers.
What the fuck?
And I went along with it because I didn't know what else to do.
Knowing now that Nick's plan was to commit more murders, a chilling question is raised.
All right, you know what? I like Keith and Montana. Maybe they're just, maybe they're like half victims in this situation, to be honest. At first, I honestly thought that they were a little bit more involved than they let on, but now it kind of does feel like that kind of sucks for them.
Raised.
Did Nick kill anybody else?
Not that I know of. He never talked about it. I never went after that. He just said that he wanted to.
Did he pick up any hitchhikers that you know of?
After that, no.
And in the question that follows, the detective provides some intriguing information regarding Nick's alleged service.
Did he ever, besides his fake Afghanistan stories where he said he killed people, which aren't true, did he ever talk about killing any?
Wait, so he actually didn't kill anybody when he was in the army? Yo, thank you, name I can't pronounce, for becoming a little pooper. So he was lying? So he doesn't even have PTSD?
Anybody outside of the military?
Yes, he did. He said when he lived in Caldwell, people would hire him, kind of. They would pay him to go take care of people that they didn't like.
As horrifying as that admission was, it seems that this was another case of Nick lying about what were, most likely, acts he'd merely fantasized about.
Yeah, that sounds like him trying to be like, yeah, I'm badass. I'm a hitman. People hire me and I go kill people and I get away with it all the time.
Committing.
What a badass.
There has been a warrant for your arrest.
Okay.
We'll take you from here. You'll get booked into the Twin Falls County Jail.
Okay.
You'll be arraigned probably tomorrow. And you'll end up being transported most likely to the Oahe County Jail. Keith's also just got arrested today too. You knew that Nick did. Nick did confess to this. The case against him is unbelievably strong based on what we've found.
Despite this claim, Nick continues to believe that he has the upper hand.
Of course.
In a jail call recorded a few weeks after Nick's arrest, he and a man believed to be his father discussed the case against him.
I don't know if they've got all their ducks in a row yet.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I don't think they got it all together, and I don't think they've given enough.
Dude, this guy sounds like a genius. This guy he's talking to, yeah, I don't think they got all them ducks in a row yet. This guy sounds like he knows what the fuck he's talking about. He's going to get him out, chat. He's going to get him out. They're both geniuses.
That's true. Do a whole lot.
Nick also spoke to a woman believed to be his new girlfriend. Apparently, Nick caught wind of an element that was to be used in the case against him. An incriminating find had surfaced.
Went to court this morning.
Yeah, how'd it go?
I talked to my attorneys, and apparently they're trying to use text messages, a group message between me, Keith, and Montana about shooting rabbits behind the barn.
Okay.
They're trying to use that as a plan to commit murder. Basically.
What?
Yeah.
About shooting rabbits?
What? Dude, you're totally gonna get away with this. Like, they're so stupid. Like, you're gonna, I promise, you're gonna, like,
Yeah, behind the barn.
In fucking Bruno, Idaho. Shooting
he has a six-pack brain.
rabbits behind the barn. That's a plan?
Apparently.
Give me a fucking break.
In the end, despite his certainty that he would beat the system, Nick elected to take a plea deal. In late August of 2019, he was sentenced to life for first-degree murder.
Woo!
He will serve 30 years before he will be eligible for parole.
Yeah!
Montana pleaded guilty to criminal conspiracy and failure to notify authorities of a death. In December of 2019, she received a sentence of 15 years in prison, with a possibility of parole after serving 5 years. Earlier that year...
That's pretty fair. That's pretty fair. I don't know how I feel about Keith and Montana because, you know, it's one of those situations that you're probably too scared to go to the cops. But, I mean... I don't know. It's a tough situation for them. I'll give them that. Like, it's a tough situation for them.
Keith pleaded guilty to accessory to first-degree murder, evidence destruction, and failure to notify authorities of a death. He was sentenced to 26 years and could be eligible for parole after he has served 11 years.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, we didn't see a lot of what they said. So who knows? Maybe they, I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they did have something to do with it. Maybe they were okay with it. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, obviously we don't have all the information. But yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck Nick. Holy shit. What a fucking piece of shit.
Now it's time to walk away. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Did you laugh or cry or maybe subscribed? I'll thank you either way. You know I will miss you. I hope you return. Tell your friend or your mother to get me more views, please.